Let's be clear. I'm only telling you this story as a matter of continuity. Waldo Wesley deserves to have his name in history. He saved our school from the looming syndicate. This is what happened. It is somewhat of an unspoken rule, and certainly an unwritten one, to know that the first rule of hipsterdom is to disavow any and all claims or institutions to said hipsterdom. This is of utmost importance, for if openly admitted, that admission would be accompanied by an equally open contempt for the general public. This, in turn, would complicate future opportunities for hipsters to display their inherent superiority over the general public, as the people comprising that general public would be more inclined to defend themselves against such flagrant ego-stroking. At times, Waldo felt like he was the only one who noticed what was going on. He had long suspected that recent, seemingly random series of odd occurrences on campus were connected to the hipster syndicate, but he couldn't prove it, let alone convince anyone willing to listen that something fishy was going on. The random after-hours screenings of obscure Italian films from the 60s in the main lecture halls, impromptu vinyl LP playing recording sessions at the student union, the prevalence of countless PBR cans and hundreds of cigarette butts seen littered around campus property, more and more people walking around with stylishly unkept hair and tight clothing and attitude. These things taken alone probably wouldn't stand out, but things were starting to add up in something bigger and more sinister. The syndicate's influence was growing. Local businesses were even being affected. There was probably a 3-to-1 ratio of hipsters to non-hipsters getting hired. Something was going on. It was clear. They were trying to send a message. Though this was a sensitive topic, talk to the wrong people and you are liable to hear from the syndicate in some way. For some reason, Waldo trusted the tip that he received from an anonymous source. With the help of this anonymous person, he might be able to pinpoint the exact location of the syndicate's base of operations and encounter the ringleader himself, Ingmar Scissors. Waldo had been secretly investigating this matter for a special project in the student newspaper, an expose on the hipster syndicate. It was all very hush-hush. Not even the editor knew about it. It wasn't too late to get the word out about the shady shenanigans going on right under everyone's noses. Better late than never, right? Waldo was waiting on his good friend Mackie Davis to show up. Mackie Davis had some inside knowledge about how the hipster and the syndicate in particular operated. He wanted to collaborate the information he received from the anonymous tip. Mackie Davis used to belong to the syndicate. He used to be a hipster himself. Waldo had never been aware that Mackie was a member of the syndicate. There was a disagreement between Mackie and Ingmar about Armed Midget Rebellion. It was Ingmar's favorite band, and no one dares to contradict the hipster syndicate. Mackie was brought before Ingmar to apologize formally. Mackie said, "I apologize for making you look bad, Ingmar." "And," said Ingmar, "Dwarves with Vertigo is just a poor man's Armed Midget Rebellion, a homogenized, mainstream bastardization of AMR's furious indie spirit." Mackie was stripped of his hipster status and his membership in the syndicate was revoked. He never recovered. Blacklisted from all the important and cool house parties and shunned by his peers, Mackie was plunged into the social abyss. Mackie nervously entered the coffee shop saying, "Don't say anything, all right? I know I may look ridiculous, but I wanted to avoid showing my face around here." Mackie scanned his eyes around Starbucks in fury, taking a seat across from Waldo. Waldo says, "What the hell are we looking for exactly?" "Syndicate plans. I'm guessing they're on higher alert these days after, well, my little incident. You can never be too sure these days. Information is power." Waldo thought, why would they risk their reputation by having one of their own seen at Starbucks? I mean, come on, that just sounds crazy. So crazy, Ingmar Scissors just might try it. Look, a while back I received an anonymous tip, an address really, to an underground location that may lead to the syndicate's headquarters. The address is at 385 West 1st Street. That's where the Deaf Donkey is, isn't it? I was told that there was a possibility that Mr. Scissors himself may show up there, tonight. I was also told that given the address was an underground location, but the Deaf Donkey is an above-ground venue, so there must be some secret door or passageway or something, right? Mackie, I need your help. Why do you want to pursue this, huh? You still have a life here in Alcove Hills, man. I don't. Why don't you get out now while you can? You're running the risk of getting in too deep. The syndicate's reach is too far and there's no telling just how far it'll go. Too many deserving, decent people are getting shafted out there with this hiring bias going on with these businesses. It's all connected, man. People I know, hell, I'm sure even people I don't know actually need the money to help pay their tuition, but won't have the chance as the syndicate is siphoning jobs from everyone else and giving them straight to their brethren. I want to bring an end to this injustice. You also want the journalistic glory that'll come with exposing the syndicate too, right? That last remark annoyed the hell out of Waldo, but before he could respond, there was an abrupt stoppage of the music. They decided they should leave, one at a time, avoid looking suspicious. Waldo caught up with Mackie and immediately started it on him again. Is there any way to get an encounter with Ingmar Scissors at the Deaf Donkey? Mackie says, there's a good chance. Suddenly, a hipster syndicate plant started riding by. The young man's mouth was half open, as if he was awestruck by some thought or perhaps recently lobotomized. All I can tell you is that in the past, whenever a member had to gain access to the secret passageway, they'd have to go up to the bar and tell the bartender they wanted a drink called the Trout Mask Replica. What does this Scissors fellow look like exactly? Hard to say. The guy's sort of a chameleon. One week he's got mountain chop sideburns and a mullet, and the next week he's got a shaved head and a wicked goatee. You just can't pin him down, man. The stairway led Waldo down a long trench-white pathway adorned with an endless array of Christmas lights, and stagnant aroma of musk and cigarettes permeated the air. Ingmar Scissors emerged from the growing fog of smoke, as if he materialized out of the vapors like a vampire. Ingmar yelled out for someone to grab Waldo a Bronson, but when someone asked PBR, Ingmar nixed the idea. He said PBR is losing its stature and quickly becoming finished shit. A new Bronson of choice, fellas. Shelby Michelob. Get this man a fucking Michelob. Ingmar yelled over his shoulder. Yo, Billy, turn whatever shit you got playing right now off and put something else on, like Smash Hat or something. I fucking love Smash Hat, don't you? Waldo was scared. Yeah, I do, he said. Yeah, I liked them before they were cool. Too much razzmatazz with them now. They were much simpler when I first dug them. Ingmar seemed suspicious. So I haven't really seen you around here before, man. What's your name? Waldo paused and thought about it for a moment. Stanley Darren. I've been meaning to check out that Jeremiah's Brads, you know. I like their sound. Which sound? They got like a dozen sounds, Ingmar said. All of them. You been listening to anything good lately, Stanley? This was a rhetorical question, as Ingmar didn't really want to hear about who someone was listening to if it wasn't good. Waldo's memory started clearing up a bit. Waldo said, yeah, let's see, Sublime Scum, some porno breath. Ingmar winced a little. He told him that he wasn't really there with him on the porno breath, but he did like Sublime Scum. Waldo told him that he was digging the new Strangle Bat Murphy album, Toxic Dove, some great instrumental work going on in that album. Also, he really liked My Bloody Lung. Ingmar said, yeah, Strangle Bat's got a pretty solid record out. Toxic Dove is a tad overrated, but I fucking love My Bloody Lung. Waldo asked, Ingmar, what's your opinion on the Versailles Wake? Ingmar replied, I like the Wake, in small doses. Stanley, what did you think of Ice Cream Sunday's final album? Specifically, the way in which the last half of the album relied too heavily upon the Moog synthesizer. Waldo couldn't remember this album, so all he said was, I think they should have cut back. Then he panicked, realizing he was going to give himself away. I mean, the Moog synthesizer is alright and all, if used sparingly. Besides, though, their final album is not as good as the one preceding it anyway, Ingmar said. The album preceding the Ice Queen Sunday's final album is the same one as the album with the Moog synthesizer. They've only released one album. A real hipster would have known that. Looks like we got an imposter on our hands, fellas. Ingmar grabbed Waldo. Ingmar replied with, see, we don't like people snooping around in here, Waldo. Least of all, sneaky newspapermen. That pisses us off, doesn't it? The hipsters agreed, and Ingmar continued, where the hell's your buddy Mackie now? Mackie seemed to appear out of nowhere. Right here, Scissors. Mackie walks up to Ingmar and says, I got this little idea from a debut album of Here Comes the Boom. As Ingmar laid on the floor, Mackie grabbed Waldo and ran up the stairs as fast as possible. They walked away from the Deaf Donkey, trying to be nonchalant. All Waldo could say was, thanks for saving my ass back there, man. All Mackie said was, let's get this to the presses.
tonight. Where do we go from here? The road to ruin